All right, welcome back to the Bloom Daddy Radio Network. As you know, the Biden administration, Joe Biden, he's spitting out some new health care orders. It's beginning to really unspool a lot of Trump policies out there. And the big question is, what are these orders going to mean to you? David W. Johnson is a national thought leader on health care. He's the author of 2 best-selling books, Market versus Medicine, America's Epic Fight for Better Affordable Health Care, and The Customer Revolution in Healthcare, Delivering Kinder, Smarter, Affordable Care for All. David, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bloom Daddy. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, thanks for being on the show and kind of explain here because, look, I'm not going to lie. I'm no expert when it comes to health care. But if we take a look at some of these orders and what Joe Biden's trying to do, is health care going to benefit? Is the general American going to benefit from what he's doing, in your opinion?
I believe so. I'm a fan of the healthcare exchanges, market-based distribution of healthcare services. So opening up the special enrollment period, allowing people that have lost their insurance for some reason or another to come in and get the subsidies now, at least through May, I think makes a lot of sense. There's also a provision in the big stimulus bill, if that gets passed, to expand subsidies to higher income people, and also to get away from dollar thresholds and go to percentage thresholds on subsidies, so lower income people that get sticker shock even when they go on to get plans will see them as more affordable. And what we've discovered is the more affordable health insurance is, the more people will buy it. In a state like Massachusetts, for example, the added subsidies on top of the federal subsidies now has 98% health insurance coverage, almost universal coverage, but done through market mechanisms, which is something I believe in.
Yeah, even during the Obama years, we saw, I think, the average premiums going up. I mean, we saw health insurance costs going up. What's the driving factor here, David? Why is it that health coverage is so damn expensive these days?
Yeah, well, that's what I've written 2 books on this subject, so you're really in my wheelhouse, right? Daddy.
Well, put it in layman's terms and help us understand.
Yeah, we spend almost 20% of our economy on healthcare, and the next big country with the next highest percentage is France at 12%. And I haven't met anybody yet who's told me we need to spend more than 20% of our economy to provide great health care to everyone in the country. And I think the principal reasons underlying it is that we've created this artificial demand or supply economy. Let's call it an artificial economy for healthcare services.
Okay.
So basically, if you wanted to predict the number of cardiology procedures in any given market, you'd think what you'd look at would be demographics, the environment, some of the lifestyle behaviors, and so on. No, the best predictor of cardiac procedures in any market is the number of cardiologists, and magnify that across the entire healthcare spectrum. So we essentially have what you'd call a supply-driven demand economy in healthcare. So the more supply there is, the more healthcare that gets delivered. So that's why you see these numbers out there that say as much as a third of the healthcare in the country, $1 trillion is for unnecessary care. And it kind of gets back down to the dollars and cents. So until we change the way we pay for healthcare, we're not going to really change the way we deliver for healthcare. And there are huge segments of the healthcare industry that benefit from this overinvestment particularly in acute and specialty care, but you also see it in pharma and device and so on. So we've got an artificial market. We've got a huge healthcare industry that plays it like a Stradivarius, and it makes the military-industrial complex look like child's play, in my opinion.
All right, so just so I understand, you're saying there's people out there getting procedures and getting medical operations and things like that don't need them, but since it's there, since we've almost been brainwashed into thinking there's always something wrong with you or you shouldn't be in pain 1 second of your life, therefore it drives the market. Am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, it's a combination of that. So getting treatment you don't need, and then often just ridiculously high prices for the treatment you do need. So an MRI in a hospital can cost $5,000. You can get the same MRI at a retail site on nights and weekends, as well as during the day, for $500 and get a second read from the Cleveland Clinic or some other high quality organization. So there's no reason you should pay 10 times as much, except that our payment system lets hospitals do that.
Also, too, and we're talking to David W. Johnson, national thought leader on healthcare, author of 2 best-selling books. Also, too, David, there's never been a conversation about how unhealthy we are as a society. And I think this pandemic has pointed it out, because this is really, the coronavirus is Mother Nature weeding out the weak. Let's be honest here. We have obesity problems. We have a lack of exercise issue in America. We've got smoking, drinking, overindulgence, which all drives up healthcare. And also, too, all the healthcare that goes into the last 2 years of a person's life, and usually those lives are diminished because of everything I just talked about leading up to it. I mean, you don't see very many obese people that are 75 years old, and there's a reason for that. So, I mean, is that ever going to be addressed, or why would it be addressed? Because, once again, it's big business, and if you address it, you're going to have less business. You following what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I completely follow it, and you're spot on. And when you look at it big picture, only 10% of health status relates to healthcare. The rest of it are lifestyle choices, environment, genetics, and so on. And unfortunately, our system is set up to treat the byproducts and not the root causes. So we've got a system that does exceptionally well, I guess, at treating acute episodes of disease, illness, injury, but does a horrible job on the preventive side of things. And right now, 90% of the healthcare dollars we spend are to treat chronic disease. Now, a lot of that is, as you described, in the late stages of chronic disease when you're in the hospital. But wouldn't it be better if we could prevent it from happening in the first place? And the strategies for that involve much more hands-on community-based care in clinics and having health coaches and so on, which is a whole lot less expensive than this high-end medical care. But we've got a system built for acute care and not one built for chronic care. So again, I kind of come back to my basic line is we're not going to change the way we deliver health care until we change the way we pay for it. And there are ways to incentivize preventative behavior so that providers and patients, buyers and sellers, are on the same side of the table instead of one kind of benefiting from the other. Right today, if a hospital makes a mistake or a physician makes a mistake, they get paid again to fix it. I mean, how crazy is that? We don't take that in any other part of our life.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's a lack of common sense applied to our health care in America. Yeah. I mean, like you said, preventative medicine, healthcare coaches, doing things right the first time, it would cut down on so much. But when something's big business and people are making a lot of money off of it, it's a lot better to treat it than actually cure it or fix it, because that person keeps coming back and back and back.
Yeah. It was 60 years ago this month that Dwight Eisenhower did his farewell address, and his principal message was to warn the American people against the military-industrial complex. That's the first time we heard the word. And in 1960, I guess 61, when he gave that speech, military spending was 9% of the economy, and healthcare spending was 5%. Mm-hmm. Today, military spending is 3%, and healthcare is 18%. So we have the equivalent of the military-industrial complex in healthcare on steroids. So we need to attack the healthcare industrial complex every bit as much as we need to, or maybe even more so than the military industrial complex. And by the way, we got one of those too, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, David, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it all the time.
Me too. Good to talk to you as always.
All right, thank you. That's David W. Johnson, national thought leader on healthcare, 2 best-selling books, Market versus Medicine, America's Epic Fight for Better Affordable Healthcare, and The Customer Revolution in Healthcare, delivering kinder, smarter, affordable care for everybody.